Plugin Guy, why are you making a Jimmy green screen video? Well, Plugin Guy's got opinions too, okay? RuneScape's been around for 22 years, and in that time, a lot has changed. The graphics got better, then they got worse, but like in a good way. New skills and bosses were added, raids were added, content creators went from making RSMVs to guides to full-blown game shows, and the player base went from a bunch of sweaty 9-year-olds to a bunch of sweaty 30-year-olds. What we as players have come to expect and hope for from this game and its insanely long lifespan has changed pretty dramatically. And frankly, I'm not sure if Jagex is going to be able to keep up. I mean, the game is clearly on the decline. What's that? It's been steadily increasing average players over the past year and a half, and that's despite not having a league for the last year and a half. Well, that doesn't fit my narrative, so I'm ignoring it. The game is dying. One of the biggest shifts we've seen in the last few years of RuneScape has been the increasing creativity of content creators, the developers, the average player. I mean, if you look at Reddit or Facebook, you'll see players posting about their Snowflake Ironman that they're just playing for themselves, not to create content, but just because that's how they want to play. Someone sent me a screenshot of this one guy who has a Snowflake Ironman where he plays like it's in real life. When he kills a monster, it's gone forever. When he chops a tree, it's gone forever. When he mines a rock, it's gone forever. That is psychotic. This top to bottom creativity is not only an old school RuneScape thing. I mean, look at Minecraft, Terraria, Valheim, Grand Theft Auto. All these vibrant communities took the game they've been playing for so long and found ways to breathe new life into it themselves. But there's an obvious difference between those games and old school RuneScape. Most of those are sandbox games, and old school RuneScape is definitely not. So just imagine what the RuneScape community could do with a sandbox. Ladies, gentlemen, Jagex, I present to you official old school RuneScape private servers. Who are you guys? Why do you have so many balloons? Hey there. Jeez. What do you want? You gotta talk about raid. Wait, this is a Raid Shadow Legends ad? Yep. Like right now? Mm-hmm. Wait, so you're telling me that this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? Yeah, I know you've probably heard a lot about Raid Shadow Legends already, so to help you remember this specific ad, let's come up with a nice mnemonic device. We're all RuneScape players here. We love getting constant, reliable updates. Well, Raid has you covered there with regular updates and content. PvP might be dead in OSRS, but in Raid it's alive and well in the arena where you can go and test your strength with all of your champions. And sure, you've heard of Albert Einstein, but have you heard of Iragoth the Eternal Dragon, the extremely challenging boss of the Doom Tower? That wasn't my best segue, but I think I'm gonna stick with it. And you know we love our elves in old school RuneScape. We have a whole quest about them. And Raid has you covered with the Dark Elves faction. And because it's Raid's 4th anniversary, there's a ton to get excited about. I'm talking dedicated offers, free gifts, promo codes, events, and a brand new fusion event where you can get your hands on an anniversary-themed legendary champion. And you can also take a trip down memory lane if you're already playing Raid and see your stats from last year. Personally, I'm looking forward to see how many champions I pulled. And if you're an Amazon Prime member who just got Gembo, keep an eye out for the next drop where you'll be able to get some powerful Savage gear. It's available now until March 30th. If you haven't started playing Raid yet, do it right now, please. Use my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to get some insane bonuses. I'm talking the epic champion Kellen the Shriek and a bunch of other useful stuff. And for those of us already playing, all new and existing players can get a bunch of free birthday gifts. Once you're in-game after clicking all the links, just type in the promo code 4YearsRaid. That'll get you 4 legendary skill tomes and a bunch of other stuff. So click the link in the description and I will see you on the battlefield. Okay, now more about private servers. Wait. I know when some of you hear things about RuneScape private servers, you probably want to throw up all of your keyboards, but just hear me out, okay? I know that when most of us think about old school RuneScape private servers, we think about the really awful homemade ones that are stealing Jagex's assets with insanely broken mechanics and a picture of a car for the login screen, for some reason. I mean, look at these. What the fuck is happening here? I think it's safe to say we all agree we don't need more of this. No, I don't want to steal Jagex's assets. I actually want Jagex to sell me a private server. And to sell everyone a private server. For a monthly fee, we as players could rent a small server from Jagex where we'd have control over drop rates, XP rates, region unlocks, little things like that. Basically, I'm talking about a service not unlike Minecraft Realms, where Mojang sells players their own servers. These servers will be just like Old School RuneScape, officially endorsed by Jagex, but completely run by the players. These servers would act like the sandboxes that so many RuneScape players have wanted for so long. They would allow players to create challenges and game modes and content that we have just never seen before. Events like the Speedrun Cup or the Battle Royale or Gilnor Games would be so much more easy to run for the average player, so we'd see so many more of them crop up. Think about streamers wanting to host a little mini Gilnor Games event with just their community. They could spin up a server, give everyone max stats, run the event, and boom, there you go. It's that easy. We'd be able to see snowflakes like we've never seen them before. I know you probably think every single Snowflake Iron Man has been done, but now we can see even more and see if you were right. This would allow for some content to go legitimately viral like we see with some GTA and Minecraft content, because it's going to be so much more accessible. And the best part, it's all based off the player's creativity. If Jagex provides the servers, I'm convinced the player base will do some insane things. I mean, I get RuneLite plugin requests all the time that are legitimately hilarious and great ideas, but a RuneLite plugin can only do so much, and that's by design. It's an MMORPG. I'm not supposed to be able to change what's happening on the server. That's cheating. But if I had my own private server, then I could change whatever I want. I really think this idea could allow for content creators and the average player to continue finding new ways to experience this game and really infinitely increase the lifespan of Old School RuneScape. Okay, listen, I know I said infinitely. Obviously, I don't mean infinitely. That's way over dramatic, but okay. But the idea of this server can be infinitely expanded upon too. Changing the XP rates and drop rates on the server is just the start of this idea. Imagine if this does well and then Jagex adds a simple map editor. Think of all the continents and islands and new locations that Reddit users like Gentle Tractor come up with that just look so amazing, and all you want to do is actually experience and travel to those places in-game. With these servers, if there was a map editor, you could do that. New skills could be added to the game that completely ruin the server, but only for the 5 players who are on it. You could import your own models and create new insane bosses and raids, maybe even quests. New items with absurd stats and special attacks that come from these bosses, or maybe they're just a guaranteed drop from goblins. I don't know, you do what you want. Given enough time and resources by Jagex, the output would be exponentially more than what they put in. And I think this will be a benefit not only to the players who want to create things, but to the players who want to experience these things. Imagine a place like Steam Workshops where people can share their mods and their builds with other players. If these private servers had something like that, then Gentle Tractor could share his cool new island, and then a bunch of players could download it and run it on their own servers without ever having to create it themselves. And even though I said that the main game and these servers are completely separate, if Jagex could actually see how these new bosses and regions are added in a private server, they could legitimately use that as influence for the main game. Let's say Neve is Sexy 123 comes up with this insane boss with mechanics Jagex has just never thought about before. If a bunch of people download that boss and use it on their servers, then Jagex basically has playtesting already done, proving that the idea is a good one. And I trust that if Jagex did use an idea that they came up with from private servers, that they would give credit to the developer. Right, Jagex? Right, Jagex? Basically what I'm saying is it would take the world of yellow text, black background suggestions on Reddit to the next level. We have one of the most insanely creative and dedicated player bases in the entire gaming community, and Jagex with these servers could give that community the nuclear launch codes, but instead of causing Armageddon, they could cause the good version of Armageddon. I'm not quite sure if there is one, but it would be good. I think it would be really good. I feel like I'm yelling so much. Man, all this sounds like a lot of work for Jagex, and a lot of work for Jagex means a lot of money spent by Jagex. But for those executives in Cambridge, don't worry. I've been thinking about you too. In addition to the monthly licensing fees these servers would obviously have, you could also make them members only, so you keep extracting those good $11 juices from us. And instead of selling just blank servers, maybe for a bit of a higher price per month, Jagex sells pre-configured Trailblazer League servers so that you and your friends can try out Trailblazer Leagues again for the first time since 2021. Or maybe old school servers where everything is exactly how it was in 2007. Jagex, I know you've wanted to do this idea before. This is a way for you to do it without having to make a widespread release. What I'm saying is there's ways to monetize this idea for Jagex that don't really impede the experience. I mean, if anything, it'll make the experience better. So, I mean, it's a win-win, Jagex, hear me out. But this idea obviously isn't perfect. I mean, if it was, it would probably already exist by now. A simple counterargument to this could be that OSRS is an MMORPG. It's not designed to have this sandbox-like gameplay style that I'm describing. Maybe it's not meant to be like Minecraft or Terraria or anything else I mentioned. This could just be a square peg in a round hole situation. But I would argue, and I keep coming back to this, that the OSRS player base is not like other MMORPGs. Jake Lucky, a pretty huge name in the gaming community, asked on Twitter what game creators have the most innovative content. Settled replied to this tweet and it really summarizes it pretty well. Despite not being a sandbox game like Minecraft, the content around it makes it seem like one. I genuinely do think that there's a market in the player base for OSRS private servers. But hey, I'm biased. I'm a content creator and this would create a lot of content. So I can understand that the average player just might not be that interested in this. But even if you do agree with me that these servers have a place alongside the main game, there's still plenty of valid counter-arguments against it. So it's only fair that we go through some of them and then I can yell at you about why they're wrong. Sorry, got a little upset there. I forgot I'm supposed to kind of be like persuasive here. Okay. Con number 1. These servers won't come out of thin air, and it's not as simple as just take a snapshot of the main game and then sell some people some servers. This would require a dedicated team at Jagex working on this for a pretty long time. And that's not to mention maintenance and all the additional ideas that could come from this. And if there's one thing the OSRS player base hates, it's dev time. Every single idea that comes across Reddit's desk, they will shoot down because it's taking away dev time from whatever they want to have be worked on. That means that this would be a PR nightmare for the brave JMods who scour the depths of that wretched place. But I'll be honest, dev time is a legitimate concern. But I think the team that players are most worried about losing dev time from is the content team. And I personally think that this private server idea will be implemented by a completely separate team from the content team. The issue with that is that I'm now asking Jagex to invest in a whole new team, and Jagex typically not really investing in much manpower. Am I asking too much? Probably. Probably am. But these private servers, if they gain significant popularity, and that if is doing some heavy lifting in that sentence, would be a real revenue generator for Jagex, one that I think they would be happy to have. The profits from the server's rental fees could be reinvested into the dev team and customer support and reducing the amount of bots in the game. It could actually be a net positive for the main game, even though it's completely separate from the main game. Why are you laughing? Stop laughing. It's legit. They could actually do that. One of the big knocks back when Old School RuneScape was being debated as even an idea was the concept of splitting the player base. It's true that for an MMORPG, a split player base is usually a net negative. I mean, if OSRS hadn't had the insane success that it ended up having, it would have actually been very damaging to RuneScape 3. I mean, it probably has been damaging to RuneScape 3, but they seem to be doing fine. But still, that's probably of little solace to people who wanted to see RuneScape 3 remain the main game. And with these private servers leeching players from Old School RuneScape, it is a legitimate fear. I mean, if you could essentially create your own league, customize it however you want, cut grind time in half, not have to compete with players for resources or world hop constantly, that might sound pretty enticing to you. And maybe it would sound enticing enough to a significant portion of the player base and have a lasting effect on the player count. I mean, hell, I know some people who only play when a league is out, and they're people who used to play OSRS like every day but got burnt out because of Trailblazer leagues. But you know how I've been praising the player base for how diverse and creative they are and all that? We're also not that different. At the end of the day, one of the reasons we all love playing Old School RuneScape is because of the grinds. We love sharing the achievements from the main game with other people who are also playing the main game. There's something about those that just feels so much more satisfying. I don't think these servers could ever replace the actual feeling of playing Old School RuneScape. Plus, the fact that you have to pay for these servers is probably going to deter like 95% of people anyway, so...
But I know, you're just saying players create their own leagues. You just said that, and that means that when an actual league comes out, players would be less interested in playing that league on release.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's true that one of the coolest things about Leagues is the way it bends the game mechanics in weird ways that we've never been able to experience before. And these servers would allow players to do that themselves. So yeah, I mean, like, a novelty factor of Leagues would be taken away. And that is a shame because it's one of the greatest experiences in OSRS, in my opinion. And I mean, the reality is, these servers would maybe act kind of like a permanent league. I even suggested the idea of a Trailblazer League pre-configured server. And a lot of players have voiced their disdain for permanent leagues when the idea has been floated in the past. And I mean, like, a lot of players. That could be indicative of more than just devaluing leagues too. That could mean that maybe there's just not that much interest in this idea as a whole. And while I can't really prove that there's broad interest in this private servers idea, unless, you know, like, you commented and were like, this is so cool, great idea, I love you. Please say you love me. I'm speaking for myself here, but my favorite part about Leagues is logging in the day of release and being on those insanely crowded worlds with everyone trying to figure out what's going on, the people who theory crafted, the people who have no idea what's going on, and we're just completing tasks and we're getting those dopamine hits and we're all together as a community. These private servers would be small with 10, 20, maybe 50 players. It wouldn't be able to replicate the community feeling of everyone rushing onto something on release day. And if it can't copy that, I just don't think it has enough to really steal from Leagues as a concept. And if the biggest downside is hurting Leagues, then I think this is still a pretty good idea. All of these counterpoints are valid, and there's a lot more counterpoints that I'm sure are just as valid as these ones. And I think you can tell that for most of them, I'm really basing it off the hypothetical that this idea can carry its own weight. But I truly think the possibilities and the potential of these servers is limitless. This idea would be a big risk for Jagex. I mean, nothing like this has ever really been done by another MMORPG that I could find. I think the combination of this player base and the Jagex developers, it could expand the lifespan of Old School RuneScape for years and years to come, attracting new players, bringing back old players, and keeping the existing players interested. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't believe this was an idea truly worth exploring. So Jagex, if you're listening, I'm unemployed and I'm ready to take on the lead private servers designer position. I wouldn't be allowed to have opinions if it wasn't for the support of my patrons. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. Your names are on screen now. I want to give a special shout out to my Milkies. I'm going to read your names off a phone because there's too many of you now. Nathan Tran, Neelam, Undies is the best mod ever. I love him so much. Bex, Fruit Shirt, Caleb Fife, Pants, Christian Barrett, Kai, Ajkar, Claro Q, Liz, Britt, Hazmat, Baston, Lemon Wedge, Punningham, Snoopy, Nanaru, Bless Coffee, Infernal, Blemma, Leah, and Womanity. Thank you all so much. A special shout out to my executive milk producers. Siesta, Hermes, Ukami Damashi, Adam, Samurai Sussy, Mia IRL, Jeoparite, K4S Silver, Omega Onion, Josh, Live Slow, Sail Fast, Jamie, and Light. And a massive shout out to the members of my tier. Devil, Fatal Phalanx, Jake Elmo, Suede Oxford, IFAP to the song 2 Trucks by Lemon Demon. Joshi, this is a message to Hanani from Idle. Woodcutting is an inferior skill to farming, and I don't apologize. And Paradox. Thank you all so much for the support. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, you can do so with the link in the description. It's not necessary, but it's greatly appreciated. And I love you.